Hello, everybody. We're going to look at getting started with how do you crack a password using dictionaries. A dictionary is a pre-populated word list that has common passwords in it. What is PWNED? Pwned. Pwned? Anyway, it means that your account has been a victim of yet another data breach. Has your password been pawned? Well, go here and find out. Let's see. I'll use my personal email address and then click pwned. I don't know. Oh, pwned. Uh-oh. And I have changed it since all of these came up. I've changed it probably a couple of times. Ooh, look at there. Yeah, I don't know how my username would have gotten in there, but I have changed it since then. If you see anything in here that you're even suspicious of, good time to change your password. Any suspicion? Change your passwords. All of them. Try not to have them all be the same. All right, so these are called password lists. They're text files of common passwords. They're used to crack password hashes. We're going to get to hashes in another tutorial. This is just how to handle password lists. Now, as you're using these password lists, they're real passwords. They may be offensive. There may be some swearing in there and other things. If you go to this gentleman's site, he has a gob, which means a lot, of passwords. And he, last time I looked here, was keeping it up pretty up to date. So yes, look at all this stuff. Passwords, passwords, passwords. Passwords, passwords, passwords. Passwords everywhere. Passwords everywhere. What can you do? See, keeps it up to date. Some of these things are like last month, 4 hours ago, that sort of thing. Well, we are going to download one of the password lists that we're going to use in future labs. So if you go to the, I need to go back again. This takes us specifically to common password lists, and some of the ones we're going to use are right here. So these have been around for a while, but for our purposes, we really don't care. This is 100, 10 million, 100 million. Anyway, it doesn't matter because it doesn't take that long for Python or anything else to really do anything. If you click on this, it may take a while. What we want to do is right-click and save the link as. That's going to give us that text file that we want to put in the same folder as our program. So I've already got it in the same folder as my program. So I'm going to dispense with that. Find my, there he is. So there it is. There's my password file. There's my program. Let's take a look at the program that's in this tutorial. Now we're really not cracking a password, but we're going through the process of how to use a word list to find out whether a password is in that list or not. Kind of like Pond. If your password's in that list, you darn well better change your password because these have been out there for quite some time. Anyway, I printed a very creative title. You don't have to. In our main, we're going to track with a Boolean variable, which is either true or false, whether the password has been found. So we start out as false. Then we're going to print our title, which you may or may not want. Then we get a string from the user. Then we're going to enter the password list file name, whatever one it is that you want to use. And I have, as you can see, several of them. I thought I did. Yeah. So I'm going to actually, yeah, it says it's very big, but so I don't have to type it in every time, I'm going to get the name of this, copy it. I did F2 to open it up. Then I'm going to copy it. And yes, I don't really need to see this. One of the things you can do with input is use an OR statement. You could say input password equals, and put your password in here. what happens is if you don't enter anything, then it automatically enters the input password. Oh, here's where I can split it. I don't like things being on 80 different lines. I mean, clear out to the side. There we go. So they will, the input password will come from here or from here. Well, I had that wrong. I can't remember how to do it. There is a way to use OR. What I did here is I just found a program that I'd used kind of like this to do a default password. So if you don't enter anything, that means this doesn't exist yet. So we're testing for if not. So if this doesn't exist, then we pass this into our password file name. If you enter something in, it exists, and then we keep going. Read all the passwords into a Python list. Well, we need the passwords in memory in a data structure that Python can recognize. And a list is perfect. We can have 100 million or 10 million things in a list and be just fine. We could also read it into a tuple. It doesn't really matter. With the speed of our computers, we're just fine. So the first thing we do is open the password file. We're using the with context handler, which means that it's like kind of picking up a suitcase or a shovel. Once you pick it up, you keep using it until you exit, then you put it away. We're reading this file in our password file list. Now we're splitting the lines. Split removes the new line character and reads each line into a list item. There we go. Returns a list of the lines in the string, breaking at the line boundaries. Now we have our big password list in memory. When we exit or leave the with context handler, everything is shut down. Oh, I forgot to talk about this. With open, whenever Python or any other programming language is dealing with files or anything that it needs to talk to the operating system or the console, it isn't doing it directly. It is talking to the operating system. So when we print something or we get input, the operating system is taking the keyboard input, passing it to Python, then we can get a hold of it. If we're opening a file, we're opening what's called a file handle. Maybe I should call it file handle, which is kind of like a suitcase. You have a handle to the suitcase. You can grab onto it and do things with it. When we're done, we close it out. So that's a connection or a resource open on the operating system. So when we're done, we want to close that resource automatically. Otherwise, that resource remains open, which is where memory leaks and bad things come from. I know that was pretty specific. So if there is an error reading the file, well, we don't just spill out exceptions, we handle it. And this is just a general exception. So we're going to print out the error, and we'll say that whatever we typed in was not found, and we quit the program. Well, it's not a bad idea to do a try except exception handling. All right, so now for each password in the password list, this is I call it a for each loop, meaning for each whatever in the password list, for each item in the password list, for each item. We're going to compare the password that we put in from the user. We're going to compare that with the current password on the list. If the password is found, we'll say the password is such and such. The password found equals true, and then we break. If password found equals false, which would happen if we go through this loop without finding anything, then it'll say the password not found in the password list file. All right, so a for loop is good to use when we know how many times we're going to go through something. Usually we use a while loop for this. I'm not sure why I did that, but it works. All right, so here we are. I'm going to type in my name, Bill, just to see if that password's in there. Yeah. Oh, my name is a password. So I didn't have to enter the password list file name. Let's try another one. Let's see. This is my password 21. Now, the rule of thumb is now the recommended practice is to have a longer password. Well, this is a very long password. And enter the password list, and it's not found. So out of 10 million passwords, it wasn't found. So a good rule of thumb now is to create a longer password. This is my password is not a good password. If you go to a random word generator site, that'll give you a password that will rarely be cracked. That's it. Now this is the first step to cracking passwords.